To the Union Township Board of Trustees meeting, if you could please join us and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Welcome to the Union Township Board of Trustees meeting. Mr. Campbell, would you please let the record reflect that all three trustees are present? And before we get started, just bear with me. It's my first night as chair, so if I make any mistakes, my apologies. But two new items that we'll be doing this year that we are doing new for the trustee meetings is, number one, for public comments. If you have any public comments you'd like to address to the board, right back there on that table, right when you first walk in, there's comment cards back there. Feel free to put your name and address down. And up until we do public comments, those can be turned in right back there, and then we'll have one of our folks grab those and before we do public comments. Second thing is, you're going to notice the PowerPoint presentation on the screens, and that's our agenda for the night. Therefore, you can follow along with us and know exactly where we're at as we go through the meeting. So the first item of business is our approval of minutes. Gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion for the December 13th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Second item is I'll entertain a motion for the January 3rd, 2023 reorganization meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And next item on the agenda is correspondence. Mr. Campbell, our fiscal officer, is any correspondence tonight?
No, sir, I have none, thank you.
You got it. All right, we will, next item is probably why most everyone is here, for our proclamations and special presentations. And gentlemen, I will entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-02, resolution honoring for special achievement for Mr. Ron Hartman.
So moved.
Second.
And for discussion, Mr. Ron Hartman, please come on up to the podium. It's good to see you, sir. How are you?
Grateful to be here. Thank you for the honor.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, please, I think all of us up here know who you are, but for those who don't, please tell us your story, your background, and any words you'd like to say, and introduce any family members as well.
Well, past commander of the American Legion, Post 72 in Mount Clermont. Thank you. Was the 53-year member of the American Legion, a life member. In 2018, I was elected out of Columbus as a Ohio veteran
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. Thank you. Into the Ohio Hall of Fame. I was inducted into the as a comrade of Union Township at the for 22 years, I was the post commander. I just retired January the 1st, after 22 years being the head of the organization. People don't believe that you can put that much time in, but when you're having a good time, you got good people behind you, wife supports you, the other charming lady there, the president of the auxiliary. Anytime I needed any help, I went to those two young ladies, and they were there. We are here as the American Legion, as a veterans organization for Union Township and the residents of Union Township. So anytime any of you, or even people in the audience, need any help for anything, you know, come on down to 497B, Old State Route 74, where we're located. You picked a good night to have the meeting, because tonight's bingo night even at the first. So if you see us run out the back door, it's due to the fact that we got a call and they need a little bit more help.
That's okay, we understand.
We'll try to stay in. But once again, I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for bestowing the honor on me for what I've done for the township and that. It's been a pleasure working with the fire chief, police to be, I hope, police chief. Susan, you're new, I think, in the
Yeah,
chair.
indeed.
Mike, we've met number of times. I know you're a great friend of one of our members who is a district commander. And Joe, we've met in the past.
Sure.
John, I know we've met. Ron, we've had passed. These two gentlemen, I think, the first time I might have seen him here at a meeting, you know, so. No, I've seen him on the street. Once again, gentlemen, thank you very much for the honor, and I wish you continued success. And Union Township is doing nothing but going up, 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 and up. And our membership is proving some of it. You know, we're picking up some new ones moving in and so forth. So.
Mr. Harmon, I'm going to read off this resolution to you, and for your honor for tonight, okay?
Okay.
All right, so this is Resolution 2023-2, resolution honoring the retirement of Ron Hartman, Post Commander for American Legion Post 72 in Union Township, Clermont County, Ohio. The Board of Trustees, Clermont County, Ohio, met in regular session at Union Township, 4350 Eichholz Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45245. Whereas, after serving in the U.S. Army in the Vietnam War, Ron became a member of the American Legion Post 72, a Legion Life member since 1993, and post member for the past 50 years, with 22 years as post commander. He served as Ohio State American Legion Commander from 1999 to 2000. Ron is an AMVETS Life member since 1990, and 4-term AMVETS Post 131 Commander. Whereas a driven and skilled philanthropist, he has organized volunteers, chaired fundraisers for veterans, children in need, and spearheaded multiple Union Township police and firefighter fundraisers and honorary award events in support of safety services, police night out event, Christmas shop with a cop, PD AEDS, police canine, and PD honor guard. Whereas his focus on service extends to volunteering for local and Cincinnati area organizations, including Inter-Parish Ministries, Veterans Memorial Dedications and Cemetery Services, Cincinnati VA Hospital. He served as vice president of the Joseph House, which includes care and housing and food and clothing to homeless veterans. Whereas under his leadership in the American Legion Post 72 has recognized an outstanding police officer, firefighter awards, Ron Hartman is an outstanding supporter and good friend of Union Township and the entire community. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees tonight in Clermont County, Ohio, hereby honor and recognize Ron Hartman, Commander of the American Legion Post 72, for his retirement and outstanding service to Union Township. Thank you, Mr. Hartman.
Like I said,
Bless you, my friend.
Appreciate it.
So if you stay there, we'll go and get another picture with you. You know, for that resolution, I did not take an official roll call. So, Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution 2023-03, resolution honoring Special Achievement for retired Police Chief Mr. Scott Gaviglia. Gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
And for discussion, Mr. Chief, come on up, sir. And I'm going to go and read the resolution first, if that's okay. This is Resolution 2023-3, resolution honoring the retirement to Police Chief Mr. Scott Gaviglia in Union Township, Clermont County, Ohio. Whereas the Union Township Board of Trustees desires to acknowledge and recognize Scott Gaviglia, Chief of Police, for his 25 years of dedicated service, and whereas Chief Gaviglia started his career at Union Township Police Department as a patrolman in October of 1997, and whereas Chief Gaviglia was promoted to patrol sergeant in February of 2002, promoted to investigative sergeant in March of 2003, and promoted to operations lieutenant in January of 2006, and whereas Chief Gaviglia was promoted to Chief of Police starting in January of 2015 until his retirement of December of this past year. And whereas the Union Township Board of Trustees desires to officially honor and recognize Chief Gaviglia for his outstanding achievement, service, and dedication to the organization and the community as a whole. And whereas this board would like to personally thank and publicly recognize Chief Scott Gaviglia for his service to Union Township, because we believe he has excelled in his position and worked to create, enhance, and maintain Union Township's reputation as a premier residential and commercial destination within Greater Cincinnati. Chief, thank you, sir, very much. And
Thank you.
the floor is yours, sir.
Great. Board, thank you for this time. Thank you for the proclamation. I appreciate it. It's been my pleasure to serve the community for 25 years. It's a long time, right? Unfortunately, a lifetime for some, right? It's true. To me, it just happened yesterday. I was hired in the old police department, the old training room, for those of you who were around back then, and the township's come so far. I've been fortunate to have been surrounded by mentors my entire career. I want to take a moment to recognize Chief Terry Zinzer, who hired me and promoted me to lieutenant way back in 2006. He's retired. It's my pleasure to sit next to him. I've worked for a number of great people, and I've had a number of great people work with me. I want to take just a quick moment, recognize my fellow department heads that I miss. Mr. Matt Taylor, who was here when I started, watched him promote up. He was always there for the police department. He's a great friend and a great asset to the township. Matt, thank you. Mr. Campbell, I've known you a long time. Thank you for everything you've done. To the board, respectfully, thank you for everything you've done as well. Chief Dimeling, long time, right? Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything. I think of all the calls I was on with you when I was a young patrolman and everything that we had seen. Scott and Tony, there's just not a whole lot else to say, is there? I worked with Tony when we first started here in 1997, 1998. Union Township was going through a transformation, and there were very few police officers, frankly. And Tony and I would work two-man all night, just be the two of us for the entire township. And you get to know a lot about somebody when he's your only backup. Tony's been my right-hand person for almost 20 years, I think. Tony, thank you for everything. Scott, every major event that's come through this region has come through your office. Thank you for all your investigative efforts. You're the best investigator I've ever met. And thank you for all you've done. Ladies and gentlemen, it's simply been my pleasure. I did take a whole one day off in my retirement. If anybody needs anything in Butler County, I'm currently the police chief of the Butler County Metro Park System, so please come see me. So it's been my pleasure. Thank you again, Susan. Thank you again for everything. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, thank
Go ahead, Joe. Give any discussion.
Chief Gaviglia, I guess we don't have a lot of history, a few years though. I remember I guess the first time I really worked with you on a project, it was regarding a suicide, and it's a property that got confiscated and returned to the widow. It was a very tragic situation. I really appreciated working with you at that time. That was when I was a state representative. And, since becoming a trustee, I've certainly learned to appreciate you quite a bit. And you have a great deal of respect, in this room amongst your colleagues, the people who work for you, and certainly inside the community. I've not heard one bad word from anybody in this community about you. And really appreciate your service, what all you've done, and I know the community does as well. Thank you, sir.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Becker.
Chief, it's been wonderful to get to know you these last few years, and see your due diligence as the chief of police here, help educate, help me with the learning curve as well, and just get to see the inner workings, the backside of the township, and how you help us be the front face of the Board of Trustees. I mean, it goes for so many of our employees that interact directly with the community, but it's your steadfast dedication and commitment to the community that's just been wonderful, and the community senses and feels that and sees that every day, through all the way through the extension of your officers, all the way down. So, it's exciting, and we've had those, especially as you said, you welcome everyone out to Butler County parks, metro parks, and like I said, I'm going to be one of the ones to come visit you.
Well, please do.
When we had that discussion, it's 25 years is incredible, wonderful career, great opportunity, and great opportunities that, as exciting as that is now. And that's, I'm thrilled for you, and
Thank you,
I'm just
sir.
excited. So just all the best of service. I know that you'll just do wonderful there and then this next chapter. So again, we just really appreciate your time and your support and your dedication here. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Chief, you've been great. Anytime I've called, you've answered. And you've got extremely big shoes to fill. And that will not be an easy task. You've definitely left a very big legacy on our township. And so I'm very grateful. 25 years, all with Union Township. It's an incredible career, and just know that we appreciate you, sir, very much, very much. You left
Thank
a
you
very
very
big
much, sir.
footprint. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's go and present you.
Mind if we get a picture with you?
Yeah, please.
Just trustee.
And gentlemen, I did it again. I did not call for a roll call vote on that resolution. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logan?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Chief.
What if it is failed?
I'll wait for them to leave. We'll continue on. All right. And next item on the agenda is honoring years of service to Union Township for our current employees. And first one is Douglas Cross for 5 years of service. Is Douglas here? Oh, hey, Doug. Come on up, my friend. How are you?
Sorry about the kiddos.
Oh, no, that's awesome. Bring the kiddos in, bring your family
Yeah,
in.
is it?
Well, Mr. Chairman can make that call, but
It's good to see you, Scott. How you doing?
Thanks, guys.
Good, good, good. Doug, well, yeah, 5 years of service, appreciate you very much. And did you bring your wife and kiddos, looks like?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, both
Yeah,
of them.
good, good, good. Good, appreciate you very much. And
Thank you, guys.
yeah, thank you. Gentlemen, do you have anything for him, for Doug?
yeah, hey, I've enjoyed chatting with you. It's, the different events that that I see you at, and when it's concert series, and even getting just your feedback as a service worker, what you think, what you think's be good in the community, and I love hearing that. It's great value, and to see your commitment and dedication, and it's great to see your family. So thank you for bringing them out, being out here tonight. So we hope you stick around for go on and compete with Mr. Taylor for how many years. Yeah.
Be a while, yeah.
So, do you do any particular sports?
Biggest sport is I have like a rowing machine.
Rowing? Oh, rowing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if crew, but yeah.
Okay. All right.
I like it.
Sounds
Just-
like your
just-
biggest sport is chasing your kiddos around.
Yeah, that's it. I thought 3 was a handful. I can't wait to see what 5 is going to be.
You want 5?
I want 5. You doing fine
You're a better man than me.
Oh, she's out there.
I love it. That's great. That's great.
Mr. Becker, do you have anything, sir?
Yeah, are you the guy that drives the snow plow, fills the potholes,
I'm in the park crew, but yeah, the snow plowing, yes, I'm just on the park crew.
in the parks?
Yep.
Okay, so we have beautiful parks because of you,
Not just me, there's a bunch of us.
Yeah.
a bunch of you, okay. Well, thank you for your 5 years of service, and I hope those years continue and you stay with us till retirement.
Thanks, Doug. And then, we got one more to honor, and then we'll grab a picture with you if that's okay.
Sounds great.
You got it, my friend. Thanks,
Thank you,
Doug.
guys.
Appreciate you, sir.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next is Michael Scott Bavaro, 25 years of service. I assume you get a lot of Michael Scott jokes, right?
I do.
Yeah, yeah. Scott, 25 years of service. Bless you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Did you bring your family here, it looks like?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, introduce them, please.
Yeah, so I have my wife and my, which is Jamie, my son Ryan, my daughter Morgan, my dad Michael, my mom Babs, and then my mother-in-law Blanche.
Excellent, excellent. 25 years of service. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, very much. You got a quick story that comes to mind in 25 years that's,
No, just when you think you've seen it all, there's always something that throws at you and so on, but it's been a great experience. 25 years, when I first started, I was just telling Mr. Taylor that just seemed like a long time, especially when you're first, second year in, and then a blink of an eye, 25 years is in, so.
well said. Well, for what it's worth, I think you have probably one of the best looking haircuts in the room, for what it's worth.
I agree. I agree.
Gentlemen, do you have anything for Scott?
No, I just want to say thank you for your service, and
Thank you.
I know the community thanks you as well. Everybody loves everybody loves the firemen.
Yes.
Hey, thank you for the years. Thank you for, when I've personally come out to the firehouses and the time that you've talked and walked me around. I appreciate that, getting, again, to get the insights, the perspectives that you have. Also, I know that this is probably heightened awareness for everyone in the community now, but our CPR training, our
Yes, sir.
AEDs, and our Stop the Bleed training, especially if everyone watched the NFL and saw DeMar Hamlin and that miracle last week. But you lead our CPR and AED and Stop the Bleed training. So, I know you're big on a lot of the first aid and response training. So I think that's great as a practitioner and great to be out there in the community and serving that, even, I think in your downtime. So thank you for what you're doing there. And you're just truly, a public servant that I'm proud that we have. So thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Appreciate you, sir, very much. And we got
Sir.
the awards we'll present with you as well. Okay, well, moving on. Next item on the agenda is public comments. And, Mark, could you just double check one last time to make sure there is no public comment cards? Would that be okay? Okay. No. And another reason why we decided to do the public comment cards is because a lot of times a resident will have an issue or concern and we need to grab their information. It just makes it a lot easier for our administrator to grab it very quickly when it's already written down on the card. So there's none? Okay, last chance, no public comments? Oh, okay, well, Mark, here, go and grab hers. Okay, there you are, right here.
Did you have one you want?
Thanks, Mark. Okay.
Fiscal officer.
Ms. Ferguson, is that right?
Yes.
Please, great. Just state your name and address for the record, and then, yeah, please.
Michelle Ferguson, 2214 Bruns Lane, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45244.
Yes, yeah. Go ahead, Ms. Ferguson.
Okay. I'm here today because I'm a concerned citizen about the 6 swans that were placed by Union Township. There's 3 locations of these swans, one at Mount Moriah Cemetery, one at the Stormwater Basin next to TQL, and at the Veterans Park. The first issue is with placement. These animals cannot fly. They are stuck at these locations. For safety issues, at Mount Moriah, baby cygnets have been stolen. At the TQL Stormwater Basin, this is not a favorable environment for swans. The park next to the basin is being torn up by TQL is putting a parking lot in this location, and there is no food for these animals to eat. At Veterans Park, fishing hooks and lines are getting tangled in these animals, and it says fishing is not allowed, but it happens anyway. Concerns with food. They're not being fed regularly. At TQL, community members are feeding these animals with duck feed and cracked corn, especially during that really cold spell in December. They were starving, and they were walking alongside the fence trying to look for food. There's no food in the stormwater basin for them to feed naturally. A feeding log has been set up and is placed at this location, but we need to ensure that it's filled regularly. For 2 days now, it has not been filled, and the animals have been hungry. Also, there are ducks and other geese that come in and go, and they're eating the food of the swans. Members of these public, like I said, we continue to feed them, and some people are feeding them unhealthy food, like bread and things like that. I've talked to Matt Taylor. I've asked him to consider having a non-profit organization come and rescue these animals. It's called Mid-Ohio Waterfowl Rescue. They'll come at free of charge, and they'll take them to a sanctuary where they'll be taken care of. They can feed naturally, and they'll be safe. We have these animals now in these locations. So, what can we do? I ask that the township not purchase any more of these animals to be placed in these locations, especially a stormwater basin in the middle of a busy Ivy Point Road next to 2 parking lots. It doesn't seem humane to me at all. The township is not equipped to care for these animals properly. And I'd be happy to give information about the Mid-Ohio Waterfowl Rescue Agency. They're a wonderful organization, and they will come and they will take these animals to a proper location. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ferguson. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ferguson.
Okay, next item on the agenda is personnel actions, and looks like it's for the post office. Gentlemen are asking to entertain a motion to recommend offer of employment to Ms. Rebecca Clark as a part-time clerk in the contracted post office at a rate of $15 per hour effective January 12th, 2023.
So moved.
A second.
Discussion? No. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Lowe?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is the fire department, and Mr. Standally, would you please go ahead?
Thank you, Mr. Dills. This evening, I would like to introduce and recommend Mr. Thomas Mitchell for consideration for the position of full-time firefighter paramedic. He comes to Union Township with more than 15 years of experience in the fire and EMS field. He currently holds certifications as a firefighter 2, fire safety inspector, instructor, and a paramedic. He has successfully completed all aspects of the hiring process, including oral and written testing, interviews, background, and polygraph examinations. I would recommend a conditional offer of employment to Mr. Mitchell as a full-time firefighter paramedic at a rate of pay consistent with the Step 3 of the collective bargaining agreement effective February 6th, 2023, pending successful completion of a physical examination.
Thank you, Chief. Gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion for recommendation of conditional offer of employment pending physical exam to Mr. Thomas Mitchell as a full-time firefighter paramedic at a pay rate consistent with Step 3 of the CBA effective February 6, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Becker, do you have anything?
Yeah, Chief Diamond, are you recruiting for the basketball team again? It's, looks like this gentleman will do real well for you.
It's obviously a consideration that's been moved up on the priority scale.
Otherwise, it's all the other qualifications are just fine, too.
That's good. Mr. Logan?
We're excited to have you. I mean, bring incredible wealth of experience, and thank you. And thank you for choosing Union Township.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Thomas, thank you for being here. Thanks for wanting to come on board with us. As you can see, you know, the chief was start to finish 25 years. They were joking about Matt Taylor being here just as long. And our hope is that you stay here and retire here and call this home and family. That's the goal. So, and maybe shoot a basketball pretty well. That would help. So,
Thank you, sir. Unfortunately, I don't play basketball very well.
well, that's going to have to change, Mr. Logan. I'm just kidding.
Did the chief know about this before?
Get out there and practice.
That's funny. Any other discussion? Okay. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logan?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Thomas. Come on up. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Congratulations, I really look forward to having you. Thanks so much.
Okay, and we have one more hire from the fire chief. Go ahead, chief.
Secondly, this evening, I would like to introduce and recommend Mr. Brendan Chassel for consideration for full-time firefighter paramedic position. He currently holds certifications in the state of Ohio as a firefighter 2 and a paramedic. He has also successfully completed all aspects of the hiring process. And I would recommend a conditional offer of employment as a full-time firefighter paramedic at rate of pay consistent with Step 1 of the collective bargaining agreement, effective February 7, 2023, pending successful completion of his physical examination.
Thank you, chief. Gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion for recommended conditional offer of employment pending physical exam to Brendan Schatzel as a full-time firefighter paramedic at a pay rate consistent with Step 1 of the CBA effective February 7, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, sir?
Just want to say welcome aboard. Thank you for coming to Union Township.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for choosing Union Township. Absolutely. We're looking forward to having you.
Brendan, which part of town are you from?
What's that?
Which part of town are you from?
I graduated from Madeira.
Oh, Madeira.
Grew up in Mason.
Oh, okay, yeah, great. Your family here as well?
Yep. We got my dad and
They're all smiling. Yeah, it's a big deal.
my sister Nicole and her husband Sean.
Love it, love it. The same thing. We hope tremendously that you call this family and you're here for your long career, and we want you to stay. And so appreciate you being here so very much.
Thank you. Thank you
Excellent.
guys for the opportunity.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure. Any other further discussion? Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logan?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Brendan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Good to see you, Brendan. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, welcome. Excited to have you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is our department reports. And Chief, we'll head right back to you for our fire and EMS.
So for the month of December 2022, the department made 290 fire and service call responses, made 598 emergency medical responses, We saw a total of 603 patients. We transported 436 people to local hospitals. The department completed 916 hours of training, participated in 20 public education details. We had 24 hours of EMT medic doctor ride-along time with our ambulances. We completed 14 fire safety inspections, and we were involved in 3 inspections with the Clermont County Building Department. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for the chief?
Just, Chief, thanks for highlighting the CPR, AED, and Stop the Bleed awareness. And so we've got quarterly classes on that fill up, and people should just stay tuned to the website and stay tuned to the Facebook page to be able to sign up for those trainings, correct?
That is correct. I mean, obviously, there's been an increased demand for obvious reasons for the CPR and AED classes. If you go to Union Township's website, if you look under the section that says I'm looking for, and there's a tab under it specifically that says CPR AED, click on that. That will take you to the classes. We just finished a class Saturday here for the January. We actually have been doing those classes every other month, and there was one scheduled for March and May. When you go to the website, you'll see they're not on there anymore, because when they're full, they are eliminated from the website. So we've added classes for February and April. So we're following that closely. Firefighter Bavaro's keeping an eye on it. If those classes continue to fill up, so we're doing them every month now, if those continue to fill up, we'll add additional classes. So it's a great problem to have that they're filling up and they're full and there's a demand for it. Yeah, I mean, and if anybody has a need specifically for a CPR class, it's more than an individual or two that you may have enough either in your neighborhood group or school group or whatever, by all means, call the fire department, the non-emergency, the 528-4446, and we'll see about setting up a class specifically for your group. If you have a group of people that would be looking to learn CPR and AED and or Stop the Bleed.
Great. Chief, thank you so much for ramping that up and the discussion on it, and thanks for sharing that information with the community, and keep on pushing that forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And Chief, we are still, I know we just had 2 new hires tonight. We're still looking for more firefighter EMSs, correct? Or no?
We are. So these 2 were the 2 hires that we had planned for the calendar year 2022. We've been working on a slow, gradual buildup of staffing as the finances of the township allow it. We have allotted for 2 more full-time positions, additional full-time positions for the calendar year 2023. So to answer your question, yes, we are still taking applications, and we're looking for good qualified firefighter paramedics to fill those positions as soon as possible.
Perfect. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Very much. Thank you, sir. Next item for our department reports would be Interim Chief Lieutenant Anthony Reese with our Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. Dills. The Communications Center handled 3,588 calls for service for police, fire, and EMS in December, and handled 5,013 total calls. They processed 394 juvenile and adult court-related documents in the records section for delivery to the clerk of courts for processing. We handled 98 court notices that were entered for officers' personal appearance for various up-and-coming court cases. Handled 16 Rule 16s processed for the prosecutor's office. Issued 0 vendor permits for the month, and handled 109 records requests. In the month of December, the Honor Guard did a flag fold celebration at the Vietnam Veterans Monthly Meeting. The police and fire departments, as you all know, hosted their 4th annual Battle of the Badges basketball game at the Civic Center. It was very well received by the public. The game was well attended. Officers performed a security assessment at the Hindu Temple of Cincinnati at their request, and also put on a women's self-defense class at the Mercy Healthplex. The Operations Bureau took 289 incident reports, 142 crash reports, made 374 traffic stops, issued 157 citations, and 287 written warnings. They had 526 officer contact cards, made 104 criminal arrests, 60 traffic arrests, and had 87 warrant services. Training for the month of December totaled 96 hours for all police department employees, and fuel costs for the month were $10,021, with 37,825 miles driven by police officers. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Lieutenant Reese. Gentlemen, do you have any questions, for Lieutenant Reese?
Similar to the question to Chief Dimeling, so we're looking for new officers for the police department. How many openings are there currently? How many are you looking to hire?
We currently have 2 openings for officers that we need to replace.
Okay. Are any of these new positions or replacement positions?
Well, we have 2 replacement positions and looking to hire 2 in 2023.
Okay, so you're looking to hire 4 people?
4 positions,
I see.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Julie?
Lieutenant Reese, just welcome and thank you for being up here and filling in as interim chief. So look forward to continue. It's been great working with you over these last several years, but look forward to continue moving forward with that. Thank you.
Lieutenant, so there was an incident that made the news in Union Township, and I just want to first commend and recognize Officer Junk, am I saying his last name correctly? Jenk, and then Officer Puckett as well. I won't get into too much details on because still ongoing the investigation is, but just a terrible situation. Officer Jenk being attacked by a dog and having some shrapnel in his leg, and then I know Officer Puckett was slightly injured as well. Please just pass it on that we truly appreciate them, the hard work that they do. And I mean, shoot, an officer wakes up and has no clue if it's going to be a great day or a terrible day. They literally have no idea. And so just please pass it along with the Board of Trustees. Care for them, we're thinking about them, and appreciate their courage in doing what they do every day.
I certainly will, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next department will be our Service Department with Director Mr. Matt Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Dills. In the Cemetery Division, from December 1st through the 31st, 20 burials were performed, generating $11,550. 7 resident graves were purchased, generating $3,850. 5 columbarium niches were purchased, generating $8,000. The total amount generated for the period was $23,803.20. In the Roads Division, a total of 14 work orders were completed on 14 township roads. 47 potholes were repaired on 19 township streets. And the township streets were treated for snow and icy conditions on December 22nd, 23rd, 26th, and 27th. In the Parks Division, inspections were performed on all the playground sets, and all the necessary repairs were made, and staff is currently trimming trees in the parks. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Gentlemen, please go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Taylor, I saw the pothole people out today filling potholes. Appreciate that. And, always do good work. And, back before Christmas when we had that big snowfall, as bad as the roads were, and 8 below zero, the salt doesn't do a whole lot of good. But I didn't hear any complaints. I mean, I think people understood that, snow doesn't melt at 8 below zero. But you guys did a great job, and where it mattered the most, the intersections and such, and overpasses, and I kept mishaps to a minimum. So thank you to you and your team.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Mr. Taylor. Hey, thanks for the work. Thanks for the report. How's the litter program going with the Clermont County Jail, and how's the frequency of that? How's that helping out?
It's around twice a month, depending on, if we have specific instances where we need attention or extra attention. I know Trustee Becker in the past has reached out to us to pick up certain areas. They will patrol Union Township. They're in the township at least twice a month, picking up trash throughout the entire township. They do it countywide. It's through the court system, but we let them use our facilities to assist them, and they will in turn, obviously, try to help us out even more. So it's worked out good. So far, so good. They've been very responsive to anything we've ever asked.
Because that's still relatively new relationship or collaboration with them kicking off last year, correct?
Yes, relative. They previously, and they still have, they would help us out with our junk collection.
Okay.
So they would send people up and help us with junk collection in the spring and the fall. And so it's kind of blossomed into a little bit more than
been able to grow it a little bit more so that they can be more involved and get out for more
Yes.
trash and litter pickup in the community. It's
Yes.
wonderful.
Yep.
Well, I'm happy to hear that's moving along, and appreciate that support. What type of feedback have you had, anyone on the dogs in the park? I run into residents all the time, and they're thrilled about it still. I mean, they bring that up and they're thrilled about it. But as far as service department, do you get anything that's different?
I haven't heard any negative feedback. I'm like you, a lot of people are happy. You know, there are no complaints as far as that's concerned. I know they're using the mutt mitts, which is good. So that's less, at least they're taking some responsibility for cleaning up after their animals.
Great. Well, thank you. And you referenced cutting some of the vegetation. I know when we last talked about the 15-foot boom mower supply chain, it was still not in.
The tractor is in, but the arm mower is not.
Okay.
So that's where, we got about half of it.
I was hopeful that that's the boom mower arm is doing the cutting, but yeah, we look forward to having that resource. And again, when we were able to invest in that to get you a boom mower last year.
I believe we will see it here in the next few months.
That supply chain's been eating up, but, gentlemen, when we look back on it, we took care of some, capital items that needed to be done. Like that was about $60,000 or $70,000 for the boom mower, and the attachment, $115,000 total with the tractor. But it's been eaten up in supply chain. And it's like we're waiting for
Same with the dump
same with snowplow truck.
Yeah.
So we can retire the rust bucket. But yes, so. Well, anyway, great work to you and the crew, and I know you're always waiting. Springtime's coming.
Yes.
Springtime's coming.
March 1st
so,
will be here before we know.
You know, it's bizarre how that worked out to have the first snow of the year
Yes.
as the coldest, and all the equipment always,
Yes.
everything normally breaks on the first one, right? So,
The hardest
did
part-
everything hold up all right this time through,
we
or
had
how was
some-
the first one?
We had some breakdowns, but that's all right. It's
Yep.
not going to be clean every event. But
Yep.
the hardest part was the colder temperatures, as Mr. Becker had said. Once we get down to about 7 or 8 below, it's challenging. When you can't see the edge of the road,
Yep.
we peeled up some people's front yards.
Yep.
It was an accident, but we've got everything fixed.
Yeah.
So the crew did a great job.
Yeah.
I can't be more happy.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, they over the holiday week, right? Christmas through, and it was 12-hour days, and
Yes.
they did wonderful. So I think great work. So please send that to the service department. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Luke. Mr. Taylor, yeah, I kind of was going to have notes here as well about that. So it was Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Yes.
We got blasted big
Yes.
time. And just please pass along our appreciation, the fact that most of us Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because Christmas was on a Sunday, we're all at home in our houses, taking it easy, family, eating, all that, and then your crew is out busting their humps, trying to clear the roads for everyone. And so I just truly appreciate them very much. And it's frustrating because there's only so much you can do when it gets so cold. The salt is absolutely ineffective when it gets so cold. So, but just please pass it along how much we appreciate them and value them. Please do. Wanted to ask an update. So our Park and Recreations Committee came up with the idea of these QR code signs. And I'll explain what that is, and I'm going to ask you for an update on them. Basically, a QR code, you scan it with your phone, and what it's going to do is it's going to take you directly to our website to contact our service director, Mr. Taylor and his assistant, and just in case anybody sees anything that we don't see, we don't have eyes and ears on. If there's an issue with playground equipment, if there's asphalt, a chunk, or missing, or whatever, anything it might be, they can just quickly snap a picture of it and scan the QR code and send it right over to our service department, and they can get on it immediately. And because there's only so many of us to have eyes and ears, so that's what that is. And that idea came from the Park and Recreations Committee. And so just wanted to get an update as far as signage, when they'll be in, and when we can install them, and then also when the technology will be good to go and synced.
The overall, the QR codes, we're optimistic it's going to be done by this spring.
Okay.
I know that the township is meeting, I spoke with Brandon Miller, our IT representative, and he is, has a meeting with our website designer.
Okay.
And they are going to try and work on trying to to get a link basically to where we can establish the QR codes, where it will link directly to our website, which will then, you'll have a drop-down menu, and we'll be able to send, basically messages directly, and we'll generate work orders off of that. Obviously in an emergency, we'll get to it a whole lot quicker.
Excellent,
So-
excellent. So, Ms. Ayers, I would just ask for, when those are ready to be rolled out, we put that in the newsletter for, when we blast that out to the township, so all the residents know that, hey, if there's an issue, they can just snap a picture, send it to our website, goes directly there. So, Mr. Taylor, thank you, that's all I have. Appreciate you very much. Oh, go ahead, yeah. Mr. Becker.
Got a follow-up. Who's responsible for maintaining I-275? Is that ODOT?
Yes, sir.
What about State Route 32 and 125? Is that the county?
No, that's ODOT
That's
also.
all ODOT also?
125 is as well, Beachfront?
Yes, yes.
Okay, didn't know that.
All right, thank you.
Good, okay. Moving on, for our next department report would be for planning and zoning, our director, Mr. Mark McCormick.
For December, the inspection activity is as follows. We had 44 inspections, 6 complaints, 2 unfounded complaints, 2 warning citations, 1 15-day non-compliance letter, 12 cases resolved with or without action, 80 illegal signs removed, 7 miscellaneous issues, 5 violations for the month, and re-inspections, we had 5 for violations. Comparatively, for the year, we were up 135 inspections compared to 2021. As far as a notable number, we had 1,647 more signs removed in 2022 than 2021, but that with the disclaimer that they did not pick up signs for 5 months. But if you were still monthly averaging them out, there were more signs being picked up this year, so that was remarkable, I thought. As far as the permitting, we had 2 commercial permits, 2 change of use permits, 1 sign, 2 temporary sales, 11 single-family dwellings, 4 multifamily dwelling units, which is misleading because that was, I think, in the neighborhood of 300 units within those 4 buildings. I think that's what it was. I'll come back to that in a minute. So a lot of multifamily units issued in December. 1 addition, 4 pool or fence permits. For the year, we had 625 permits. The revenue was around $82,000 more than last year, which the fees I had noted, I think at the last month, those had been increased a year or 2 ago. So that was part of the reason why there was a revenue increase. Compared to last year, we had 29 less permits overall. However, the permits that were issued were more substantial because, for example, we had 10 more permits issued for commercial improvements, which are larger improvements. A lot of the smaller permits, like your signs and changes of uses, were where the numbers were increased. We also had 23 more single-family dwelling units issued this year than last year, and we had at least 150 more multifamily units compared to last year, which is not those are permitted by big structures, so we only had 1 or 2 more big structure, but within those bigger structures, we had over 150 more units. So the type of improvements were really higher this year, even though the permit numbers were down. So I wanted to make note of that. And the fire department permit revenue was also almost double compared to last year. It was actually a little higher than was on the bottom of the report that was sent to you, because we had a little bit of an accounting issue. It was $10,332 rather than the $9,000 plus figure that was referenced. Other than what's in the report, we'd mention that we do have a new intern co-op who is working on a number of projects. One of the things we're going to have her working on is to try to inventory where our sidewalks and trails are at, so that when we're going to be applying for funds, whether it be for recreational, health, transportation, we're able to identify where those are at. We don't have a layer for those right now except for one tiny little area. And we have her working on a community profile, which I had a question here today about some things that would tie into the information I've had her working on, which will also help us when we do our comprehensive plan update. We are working on some ordinance updates. I've been working with legal team on kind of get started with that, with the idea that we would try to get some changes to the zoning commission in place for them to review between February and March. I was hoping to talk to each one of the trustees individually, whether by phone, meeting, and possibly talk about the idea of meeting the trustees with the zoning commission and or the BZA as a group meeting to have like a discussion about the ordinances and priorities. If everybody would be open to that, we would just schedule it and advertise everybody to be there. I think that's all for my report for now. Any questions?
Mr. Becker? Mr. Wood?
Hey, Mr. McCormick. Hey, thanks so much. It's, that's exciting as far as the 10 more commercial permits, more signs than ever removed. I look at this, 2009-73. At this time of year, I feel like I'm looking at like Jamar Chase's receiving yards or something, I mean, so that's incredible. I think you said it was about 1,700 more than last year. I know we made a good emphasis on that. The residents had an issue with seeing the illegal signs and feeling like nothing was being done about it in about January of last year, and we got started on it, and I know you ran with that and executed it, so that really ramped up, so thank you. More inspections, more revenue, that's great, and then, yeah, bring on the new intern for the co-op for Hike Bike Initiative. I think that's wonderful, and as we start to look at that strategic plan and look at the comprehensive plan 2030, it's coming very fast. So we got to be ahead of that, and we got to be planning for that. And again, board members, as you guys recall, but I'm all for the joint board having a formal and informal when we can with the zoning commission and board of zoning appeals. Again, they're just another extension of the board of trustees, so it's great for us to know them, know their personality, know them in the formal setting and informal setting, so,
Good.
thank you.
Good, Mr. Wood. Just one question, Mr. McCormick, just for the public to know, whenever we collect illegal signs, can you explain where we put them and then how long we keep them before they're officially disposed?
I actually don't know that off the top of my head. That's a good question.
Well, I do know they're behind the police department by our service department, but I don't know how long they stay in that cage for. Mr. Taylor, do you have any idea?
Till, we typically leave them back there for probably, I would say, a month, unless it overflows, then we have to clean it up.
Got it,
So
okay.
there's a cage back there for
Yeah.
everything back there. If it gets too full and then it starts to spill over, then we clean it up. But we don't typically throw them away until, we at least give people ample time to pick them up if they want.
Sure. Perfect.
And, can I ask a question to follow up with you?
Please.
So with the illegal sign removal, people aren't thinking that they're going to the police station and saying, can I get my sign from the cage, thinking that they're in trouble for something, right?
No, sir.
Yeah. And I think I asked the question to staff about that, should we ever look at charging? I don't know if we can charge a fee for the sign removal, but the staff can research that. It's not an answer right now, but just curious of the authority and power if there's something that's there. Because again, it's a user-based fee, and that's one of those ways, philosophically, let's not spend the tax dollars on that when it can be a user fee. And if someone's doing illegal signs repetitively, because they are, right? You have repeat offenders, well, it's a user fee. So, thank you, Mr. Dills.
No, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. McCormick. Next, for our department reports, would be administration, would be our township administrator, Ms. Susan Ayers.
Thank you, sir. This month, the open checkbook shows up to date through December 31st. We closed out the year strong on our financials. We continue to work with the Glen Estee campus development. We're working currently to finalize plans for the phase 2 of development. We're working on some lot splits that are necessary. One of the items you'll see on the agenda later is transferring some property from the township to the CIC for economic development purposes so that we can continue those lot splits and get that property in the hands of the right developer as soon as possible. We talked briefly about the Parks and Recreation Committee. That was originally scheduled to meet tomorrow. It has been canceled due to some agenda issues and trying to make sure we're utilizing everyone's time appropriately. But the group continues to do great work, understanding the current park system, working with our potential for a parks master plan and giving their input on that. So I'm very appreciative of their effort and time. But just to repeat, that meeting will be canceled for tomorrow. Choice One Engineering is working on a master plan first for the pickleball courts that are going to be going in at Klepper Park. We anticipate that will come back before the board in the spring so that we can talk about bidding and starting that project, hopefully for people to enjoy this summer. Also, in turn, working for a master plan for each of the parks. One of the things I continue to hear is talking about how we want to develop and work with our great natural resources. This will be a great time for people to weigh in and talk about what they'd like to see and how we'd like to move our park forward. If anyone has feedback on those issues and what they'd like to see at the parks, where they'd like to see things, please feel free to reach out to Mr. Taylor and I, and we'll get that to the right folks. Also mentioned briefly some of the website design work earlier. I'm excited to report we are actually meeting with Choice One tomorrow as a staff contact to start that project, meeting with our dedicated project manager to get that started and talk about what the deliverables are going to be and when we expect to see a new site up and running. Similar to the Parks Master Plan, if there are feedback items like the QR codes, we will take to the team tomorrow. But if you have other items that we've not discussed, please feel free to bring them to me, and we'll make sure they get involved in this project. But we're really looking forward to that. I appreciate the board supporting that effort.
At Civic Plus.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll be working with Civic Plus, and we're meeting with our project manager tomorrow. But I look forward to things like the QR codes. There should be a lot more interactivity for citizens to report things in the parks, report potholes, make sure you get updates on what's been going on, and be able to kind of track the process and make sure we know what people are reporting and that it's getting resolved. So I look forward to being able to bring updates to that next meeting. But if there are other feedback items, please let me know. It was great to see Chief Caviglia tonight. We're happy to honor his retirement. He did retire at the end of the year last year. And thank you to Lieutenant Reese for filling in the meantime. He stepped up to the plate at my request, and I appreciate his effort for the police department. We have opened up a job announcement for our next chief of police. It has been published. Our website, some of the job searching websites, the Cincinnati Centers for Local Government job postings, as well as the Ohio Association of Chiefs of Police. That will be open until January 21st. We will go through an interview process internally. I am looking forward to hosting an informal get-to-know-you breakfast with the candidates so that people can come by, have some coffee and donuts, and meet the candidates that we're considering, and hope to bring that recommendation back to the board as soon as possible to move forward with that. Also, another exciting project we're going to be working on, I believe the board is aware, is the Clermont County Transportation Improvement District. It's going to be working on road widening and some improvements to Eichholz Road, including everyone's favorite roundabouts. Hopefully that will help some of the traffic flow as well as reduce traffic crashes in the area. We have signed a collection of paperwork giving easements to the property in the area and working with the Transportation Improvement District to move that forward. I did ask the Clermont County Engineer and the Transportation Improvement District to come in March to this meeting to hopefully give us an update on what the plans are, so the public can see them, and our Union Township residents that are going to be so directly affected. So I anticipate, with the board's permission, he will be here in March to discuss the project with us and our residents to get that out there as they start sending out the bidding project. Also, Duke, in anticipation of that project, is going to be doing some road work in the area and working on some of their infrastructure and the transmission lines. So residents in that area are probably going to be getting a postcard from Duke this week if they've not received one, about some road work going on in the the transmission lines getting updated in that area as well. As we discussed at the reorganization meeting, we are starting on the even months work session meetings for this board. That'll be a time for us to have a little bit more discussion on topics that require a bit more discussion, education purposes. With the board's permission, I'd like to use the one in February to start discussing maybe some of our priorities for the year. I have some, and I know we've discussed, but give us a chance, like Mr. Dills mentioned at the last meeting, about bringing to the table what we think our priorities need to be for the year and helping to work through goal setting and what we think we want to accomplish this year. So I'd like to do that in February if we can at the work session. I look forward to talking to you about that. I believe that is all I have at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers. Gentlemen, any questions? Mr. Becker?
No.
Yep. Mr. Logue?
Ms. Ayers, hey, thank you. Just, Yes, looking forward to all the new initiatives and what you're continuing to do with the team, with the master plan for the parks and the website. It's going to be a great tool and resource for the community, so that's exciting, and also a resource for our department heads to be more efficient and more effective. And, you know, like Chairman Dill said, you know, we can't be everywhere, it's the eyes and ears, and, you know, that's just a wonderful, it's great to have that feedback also, that validation and support from the Parks and Rec Board. So it's just great to see these different initiatives take strong, significant traction moving forward. And look forward to that February planning session or working session, and be able to talk about some strategic priorities. Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. Misters, did you say a date yet for when you plan on having that, I'm gonna call it a meet and greet with the potential police chiefs?
I have not set a date
Not
yet.
yet.
I imagine it'll be in February, and please keep your eye out on all of our social media, and hopefully, if we're able to come back in February's meeting, I'll announce them, but we'll make sure it's well advertised. Just keep your eye out.
Goal for picking a police chief? Like, is there like by the end of February, by the end of March?
I would like to have it at our March meeting here. If everything goes the way I'd like to, I'd like to have a recommendation here for your consideration and potential appointment at the March meeting.
Perfect. Perfect. Excellent. Great job. Appreciate you very much. Thank you, Ms.
May I
Harris.
add one thing I
Please,
forgot
please,
to
go ahead,
add?
yeah.
You know, I don't think we get to say it enough, but, you know, we mentioned briefly the snow event where it was so cold, and I wanted to thank Matt and his folks for working so hard and getting everything out there, but also all of our first responders that were out in the conditions, taking care of the community. I went outside to shovel my driveway for, let's say about 3 minutes before I decided this was too cold and I couldn't breathe, and came back in my house. And so I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and please pass it along to our staff that did such a great job taking care of the community at that time.
Well said.
Thank you.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Thank you.
Well said. Well said. Okay. All right, next item on our agenda is our public hearings, and I'm going to go ahead and open that up. First is zoning case number 7-22-O as in Oscar, Union Township Overlay District Plan Approval. Applicant is RCC Eastgate LLC, is seeking an overlay district plan approval for the parcel 413105D as in Delta 147, located at 4585 Eastgate Boulevard. And Mr. McCormick, before we get started, could you have a description for that?
Yes, the description is essentially for a Chase Bank building on .749 acres of what is essentially an outlot of big lots. You want me to continue with the staff report?
Sure. Yeah.
The rest of the details here were mentioned in the beginning of your introduction. We are looking at the Central Retail State Road 32 Commercial Corridor focused area. So we're looking at approximately a 3,600 square foot Chase Bank building. It's at the corner of Eastgate Boulevard and across the street from the Eastgate North intersection, in what is one of the entrances to Eastgate Mall. Interestingly enough, it is called Eastgate Mall on the county GIS, but it really isn't called Eastgate Mall. So it's really just an Eastgate Mall access that's been named in the GIS, but doesn't really have a name. So it's just an extension of that intersection. So it's at that northwest corner of that Eastgate Boulevard intersection. The property is zoned B1. All the adjacent property is zoned B1, and all of that is in that overlay district. And then Eastgate Boulevard is maintained as a county road, and then Eastgate North is also maintained as a county road, with Eastgate Mall being privately maintained. For overlay district plans, we refer to Article 13 of the Union Township zoning resolution. The intent of the focused areas are noted here in section 1300, which is to provide supplemental regulations or standards pertaining to specific geographic features or land uses that further the health, safety, and morals of the township. Supplemental regulations are tended to be less restrictive than the base zoning, so as to give the Board of Township Trustees authority to implement specific purposes contained in this section. Whenever there's a conflict between the base regulations and those of the overlay district regulations shall supersede the base district regulations. And section 1310, information required for submission shall demonstrate the need to modify the regulations for the zoning district. To be eligible for review, the property must be properly zoned as a principal and permitted use, which in this case, the bank use would be a principal use within the B1. B5, Board of Trustees shall consider the overlay district application, make appropriate findings of fact, and adopt a motion approving or denying the application. Item 6, prior to entering a final decision, Board of Trustees may direct that a further data be provided if necessary to make an informed decision. Pause there. This is an aerial view of the site with topography. It's pretty flat in that area. Topography really starts at Eastgate Boulevard and drops there as you cross the street into the commercial plaza over there where Joanne Fabrics is, and eventually where to the north Kroger is located. We've got the site area delineated there. You can see the overlay of what the parcel would look like with the bank. The proposal that you see here, they would have to augment their landscaping. There is a possibility there would be a detention basin there, kind of on the corner of Eastgate Mall, in that area between the parking spaces and Eastgate Mall, that access. If they have to have on-site detention, that's where it will be. Most of the detention should be going to a regional basin that is to the northeast, or approximately in the area where the new Pet Suites is going to be located. As a side note, we do have the permit for Pet Suites almost completed, and that hopefully will be issued in the next week or two, which is just to the northeast of this area. These are the plans that we received. That's the landscaping plan, but that will have to change. There will have to be some additional plantings, particularly along the road frontages between the parking and the road. This is what the building elevations are proposed to look like without the signage. The signage will come in separately. The company that's working on this basically said that Chase Bank has another company work on all their signage, including the they may not have a freestanding sign depending on what covenants or restrictions are in place because of the mall and the signage that's out there. And this is an oblique, kind of a three-dimensional view of that site. Before I get into the site pictures, would note here, in terms of the comprehensive plan, Horizon 2030 plan, again, this is in the central retail corridor area, which contains a variety of commercial business uses in this area. Is the primary commercial area within the township, with new development activities including infill development remaining steady. Significant redevelopment is likely to occur in the future due to the close proximity and potential of the Eastgate Mall and surrounding properties. Eastgate Boulevard is a major collector 4-lane roadway with 2 southbound left turn lanes onto Eastgate North and to 2 northbound left turn lanes on Eastgate Mall access, with a traffic volume of about 15,500 trips a day in the area of that intersection. Eastgate North is a major collector 3-lane roadway with 1 westbound turn lane with a traffic volume of approximately 8,200 vehicles daily at that intersection. Among other things, the plan calls for architectural standards that promote cohesive and attractive design and enhance quality of life, involving additional investment, sidewalks in the area, shared driveway, and parking configurations wherever practical, and site development to be conducted in a manner that focuses on maximizing land use efficiency and infill development. For commercial development, the use of traditional building materials, adequate and vegetative buffering, landscaping strategies along shared property lines, and landscaping enhancements along the corridor frontage is also required in accordance with the plan. So the building materials are consistent with what's in the comprehensive plan. In terms of the traditional building materials, there being some stone and also metal and also glass and some various different components. The landscaping, as I mentioned, will have to be enhanced. We've talked about that with the applicant, and they've not raised any objections to that. There is a proposed sidewalk that would extend what is across the road there at Eastgate North and would run along the frontage of what is now fixed on the updated plans, not Eastgate North Drive, is listed here as Eastgate Mall access, which is kind of a continuation of Eastgate North. But that is where the sidewalk would be located, and it would go within the interior of the site and head towards the big lots that's there as well. You can see the sidewalk on this picture here across the street. It would be a continuation of that and run along that, that area that leads to the mall. So I'm going to get into the pictures that were taken. This is looking northwest from Eastgate Boulevard. The site is on, kind of directly in front of you in this picture. You can see Big Lots. It's between that Eastgate Mall sign and the Big Lots area. Right in there, if you zoomed in on it. The sidewalk would essentially be in the area where you see the traffic signal, would run along that area, along that drive that feeds to the mall. This is looking south from the site along Eastgate Boulevard towards Eastgate North. This is looking west on Eastgate Mall access. This is where the sidewalk would go in. The site would be on your right. And that would also be, this would eventually be what you see here, this parking area would be green space, and that's also where that detention basin would be if there's a new detention basin necessary for that area. This is looking south across from the proposed site. That's actually where the first entrance, near where the first entrance is into the site, which we are proposing that be acknowledged and marked as a right-in only, given the proximity to Eastgate Boulevard. We don't want anyone trying to make a left turn out of there. If you look at the overhead, you can see that it's clearly designed to be a curved right-in. And part of the reason why we're making that recommendation is also because the applicant wants the west access into the Big Lots site to be a full access that also involves a left turn, which they currently do not have. This is looking east towards Eastgate North Drive, towards that existing sidewalk where it ends across the street there. And this is looking basically directly across the street from the edge of what would be the bank parking lot. And this is standing at Eastgate North and Eastgate Boulevard looking into that site. That's looking basically west towards the Big Lots. As far as the remaining portions of the application and staff review of that, the proposed reconfigured site design would allow for the retention of the existing number of parking spaces. It actually would have the same number of parking spaces, if not one more than what's there now. Even with the bank, there will be more green space than what's there now, essentially, and be better landscaping with the proposed improvements, and also potentially more stormwater improvements to the property. Again, we don't have the signage information at this time, so that would have to be reviewed at a later point in time. We have sidewalks being included that are not included now. In terms of the action required, as I mentioned earlier, the board's role would be to make a motion to approve, modify, or deny the Focus Overlay District application, which in this case consists of the new 3,600 square foot Chase Bank building and associated improvements. As far as the remaining recommended modifications, staff is recommending that any concerns that maybe be brought up by related departments, including the county engineer, county water and sewer district, fire department, and so forth, anything that those departments may bring up be addressed prior to any permitting. I mentioned that there would need to be some enhancements to the landscaping and buffer yards, particularly along the frontages and between the parking areas. And those we would have the applicant, prior to any approval, mark those as preservation areas with any vegetation areas to be disturbed or repaired if there's, or replaced if there's dying vegetation. These can be administratively approved. Signage plan will ultimately need to be submitted. Freestanding signage would be limited to monument signage, capped at a height of no more than 5 feet finished grade. And again, they may not have freestanding signage depending on what they can do because of the mall and because of their own, what I was told, internal procedures for having signage. They have to have certain things in place to put up a freestanding sign. If they can't meet those measures, then they won't put up one at all. The applicant would have to acknowledge in the final plans the eastern main access to the site, or that the final plans of the eastern access would be a right-in, right-out, and that the, I'm sorry, eastern main access would be a full access, and that the, I got that backwards. The eastern access would be right-in, right-out, the western access would be the main full access, assuming they can get approval, or that there's not an issue from the transportation folks in the engineering office. They are proposing a parking space sharing situation with Big Lots, but there are a number of parking spaces there that is such that they're basically retaining what is necessary on the site. If there is an easement there, we will add that as part of the permit file. And then, as far as any other remaining items that we had cited, the applicant had addressed a number of the items that we had put together in our preliminary report. When we updated it on January 6th, the only thing that we had left was the stormwater basin improvements that should be identified on the revised plans to indicate whether or not there's a basin or not on the final plan on this site, and then otherwise, if they have the right to use that basin to the northeast. That's off-site. Any questions?
Mr. McCormick, thank you for that very detailed report. Very much. Thank you, sir. Very much. This is a public hearings case for zoning. So at this time, we will open it up for public comment for anyone that is in favor of this zoning case. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this zoning case? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition of the zoning case? Okay, no one. Gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion for zoning case number 7-22-0 as an Oscar, Union Township Overlay District Plan Approval. Applicant is RCC Eastgate LLC, is seeking an overlay district plan approval for the parcel at 413-105D as in Delta 147, located at 4585 Eastgate Boulevard.
So moved.
I'll second that, and then we can open discussion.
We'll open discussion. Yep. Mr. Becker, do you have anything?
No, I guess I'm curious, I don't know if Mr. McCormick would know, if the branch sizes, how they compare. Is the new one bigger, smaller, about the same as the old one?
I think they're comparable in size. This one might be a little bit bigger. I think the other one might, I think if I remember correctly, it was like 3,300 square feet.
Okay. No, it seems to me it'll work fine as described.
Mr. Logan?
Yeah, Mr. McCormick, have the applicants, have they been told about the Eastgate master plan process? And are
Yes.
they willing to participate?
I spoke, the contact that I've been speaking with, I made sure he was aware of that, and I asked him to iterate that up the chain, because we did not have a phone number for the owner of the property, so I asked him to educate the people he's working with so that it gets to them that we are undertaking that process and hopefully getting started on that in the next couple of months.
Okay, okay, great. I think it's a great looking building and facade, and it's, I'm a little curious that the sign package isn't done, but that makes me also think about corporate rebranding, and maybe it's one of their new cutting edge locations or something, so there's something, my assumption.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, sorry that they have to be forced, I guess, kind of forced to move by ODOT right there, but hopefully it's a good move for them. Hopefully business increases, and like you said, Mr. Logan, it's a beautiful building. So that is all I have. Go ahead. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I guess
Please.
just to clarify that for the public. So ODOT's going to be building an overpass over the top of State Route 32 there at Glen S.T. Whistlersville Road. So the Chase Bank is a casualty of that construction. So that's why that branch will be torn down. That's why they're, fortunately, they found a location in the immediate area, and that's why they're building this new one.
Yep. Thanks for that, Mr. Becker. Any further discussion?
And Mr. McCormick, the applicant, they are aware of the 6 recommendations and, okay.
Yes, I had sent them the recommendations, and I'd also sent them the original staff report that I sent the board, the other items that needed to be addressed, and they had taken off all the items that were on the lower part of the report, except for the one item, which was really more of a, this needs to be done no matter what anyways, type of item, so.
Well done.
It's great, and great to get more sidewalk in there.
Good.
All right.
All right, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Do we have the motion to approve it with the modifications?
We do.
Okay. Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item is zoning case number 13-90-Z as in Zulu, Union Township Plan Development, Major Development. Request to an approved PD Plan Development Formal Plan, Fishbeck Erica Randolph, applicant, for property located at parcel 413104, A as in Alpha, 209-815 Klepper Lane. And same thing, Mr. McCormick, can you go over the description, please?
Yes, this property is a planned development, part of a planned development zone. The proposed size of the tract would be .59 acres, which might be a little bit different when the legal description's put together, but should be close. The parent tract is 15.44 acres and is the Sam's Club site adjacent to the gas pump stations. So property is proposed to be purchased by a group called Restaurant Holdings. It's on the southwestern corner of Klepper Lane and the private access drive between Sam's Club and Steak and Shake, next to Gate Drive. It's kind of a similar situation to the last case. And similar to the last case, it's also kind of an outlot. It's just that instead of having parking and medians here, we have kind of a smaller green space here. So on this slide, you see the vicinity of the area. The zoning here is PD. A large part of that was all tied to the Sam's Club PD that dates back into the, I believe, the 90s. I had looked it up. Yeah, it is the 90s. I had looked it up. The adjacent property to the north and west is business. As part of the PD process, Article 6, Sections 680 through 687 are where PDs are mentioned. The PD district purpose is to provide sites for business and mixed business residential developments at appropriate locations, afford attractive settings for developments and harmonize proposed developments with surrounding land uses. Land use for any property in the PD district shall be consistent with the use, design, details contained in the approved plan for that property, any conditions of approval. Uses may include those stated in the B1 and M1 districts or substantially similar uses as determined by the Zoning Commission Board of Trustees. This use would be considered a B1 type of use, so it would be considered acceptable. It's consistent with what was in the PD plan. The PD plan started off initially being Sam's Club. They added the gas pumps at a later point in time when they also added an addition, and essentially didn't really plan for the green space area next to the gas pumps. The site plan elements that are required are noted in section 1131, landscaping page to be included as well as part of that. While the PD plan is in effect, the plan shall remain forever in effect unless they are, basically, there is an approved modification, which is what we're looking at here. Board of Trustees, as noted later here, will be considering the amendment to and adopt a motion to approve, deny, or modify the amended plan, and you can direct that further data be provided if necessary to make an informed decision. And the board should make findings of fact as part of the decision-making process. In terms of the rest of the report, here's the site on this slide with topography. The site is pretty level. You will note across the street it is not level, and there is a deep hole there, which is where I believe one of the storm structures is for that area. Drops off about 20 feet just across the street there. This is an overlay of what is proposed. It's a fairly small building. It's a proposed Taco John's, which is somewhat similar to a Taco Bell, but a little different. I am a little familiar with them. I have eaten at one a couple of times, not in this area, over by Evansville, Indiana, across the river in Kentucky, I think. But it is essentially kind of a fast food operation. The proposal here involves landscaping enhancements, some sidewalk improvements, and a building that we, for the most part, we think meets the requirements. We're going to have we have recommended to the applicant, forward to the applicant, we want some changes made to the facade, and I'll come to that here in a moment. This property is also within that 32 retail corridor, which I mentioned the characteristics of that earlier. Looking at high-quality landscaping and streetscaping as a consideration for developing and redeveloping properties. The PD district is identified as the most appropriate district in order to achieve land use and development objectives in that area, and that's what the property is zoned. Klepper Lane is a minor arterial 2-lane roadway with a left turn within the vicinity of the project. Did not put the ADT on there for some reason. Klepper Lane has had extensive improvements located or completed throughout the recent years. These includes intersections, the intersections of Buxton and Glen Estee, Withamsville Road, with light improvements and additional turn lanes created to move traffic more smoothly and prepare for the increased volumes with the 32 overpasses. Sam's Club PD was approved along with several successive parcels such as Aldi's and Steak and Shake. This area accommodates primarily the retail, dining, fast food uses, and current property was approved in its configuration roughly 20 years ago when the fuel center and additional signage was added to the property addition. Since that time, the current outlot of the proposed project has remained vacant and in grass vegetation with some light landscaping. Overall, the PD major amendment approves consistent with the original intent of the PD and successive PD. There's more than ample parking in that area. There is a proposed agreement to share parking with Sam's Club. The number of spaces is to be determined. A lot of these areas have plenty of parking, and so we're trying as a staff to promote less parking wherever possible, and hopefully we'll see more development in these outlot types of areas. And in this case and the other case, elimination of and use of shared parking is a very positive thing. Circulation has been well designed for the smaller site for drive-through circulation, allowing for ample vehicle stacking. The only concern would be just making sure that people coming in off of that the main access from Gate Drive, that they're safely turning in and out of that site. That'll be the thing to watch for. But the traffic volume isn't anticipated to be very substantial for that Taco John's. The combined developed square footage of the proposed structure is 8.1%, which is far less than the 35% building a lot area requirement. And then the landscaping open space for the project is 30.3%, which is 20+% higher than the minimum requirement. There's an existing sidewalk along Klepper Lane already with an extension proposal leading to the Taco John's parking lot. As I mentioned, we have ample landscaping in the plan. Elevations for the site have been provided. Additional consideration for the overall aesthetic property shall be reviewed based on the materials and color scheme. I'll come into that a little more. So here's the plans that we received for the site in a little more in detail with the landscaping in here as well. These are the elevations that we have so far. What we're saying is that we're asking for and recommending additional masonry material, more traditional color scheme, to be cohesive with the surrounding area versus the bolder bright color scheme. We have a sign package that's been included as well, and that is the signage package is consistent with the surrounding properties. So the site here is the oblique. It's kind of in the central portion of the slide there. These are the site pictures that I took here. This is looking southwest from Gate Drive towards the site. This is looking northeast at Klepper Lane and Gate Drive. This is looking north from the Sam's parking area towards the site. This is looking west to northwest at the site towards the gas pumps. This is looking into the site towards the back end of the site where the gas pump area meets the site and the parking lot. This is looking from the interior of the site towards Sam's Club. And this is looking at the back end of the site from kind of the gas pump area towards the other direction where the entrance area is for Sam's Club, Steak and Shake. The items that remain and are recommended are to address any concerns from related other agencies, including the determination of whether a detention basin stormwater management system is already designed, equipped to handle the stormwater runoff anticipated for this and other projects. There is a regional stormwater structure for Sam's. It's just a matter of whether this property has the right to tie into it, or whether they need to put in some detention on the site or not. The applicant needs to provide revisions to the elevations of the plans in relation to the color scheme and masonry materials to be used on the site. And then the signage package is to be finalized, but at this point, we don't see any initial reasons to have concern over the signage that's proposed at this point. The other thing I would mention is we did send out 8 letters to adjoining property owners or people within that 200-foot radius. We had no letters returned, no emails or written comments. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. McCormick, for the explanation. Appreciate you very much. So at this time, it is a public hearings, so we'll take any public comments for anyone that is a proponent that is in favor of this zoning case. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this behalf? Please, yeah. And since it is a public hearings case, I do have to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, my name is Erica Randolph, 180 Edgewood Drive, Perrysburg, Ohio, 43551. I am the civil engineer for this project. I'm here on behalf of Restaurant Holdings, also the applicant. And I just wanted to speak to the modifications. Looking through here, I think I received this on Tuesday, this week. Just on item 1, talking about the additional right-of-way dedication. I looked up the Article 6, Section 687, and that talks about having 40 feet of right-of-way from the center line of that roadway. We believe that that's already accounted for in the fact that this road has been in place, and then in roughly 2018, there was a standard highway easement that was taken on the front of this property, approximately 20 feet wide, which is where you see the new turn lane and the new sidewalk there. So we already have that further restriction, so in our review of it, we do not think it's necessary for an additional 20-foot right-of-way. And in addition, that would also further impede the process, or the lot, and would make this project unable to be built on this site. But we also do think that that has already been accounted for in the standard highway easement that is already in place. So we'd be asking that you would approve this, exempting that one item.
Mr. McCormick, do you have any thoughts on that?
So that must have been a comment that the other planner in the office had put together. I know he's the one that looked over the majority of the application, and then I reviewed his report and updated it. So if it's already been dedicated, it wouldn't be necessary. So if that's what you're saying, we would only ask for that if it's not been dedicated.
It's been, well, I know I've seen the plat for it. As far as if it's actually been recorded with the county, that I don't know, didn't go into that research, but it is shown in our drawing. Our lot layout is consistent with that restriction, and that additional highway easement was needed, or would have been needed to build the turn lane and sidewalk as it stands now.
Yeah, it's not one of the recommended modifications that's in our staff report. I think it was probably one of the ones that we had questions about, because it does appear in 687 as a item. If this hasn't happened, then we would typically ask for this to be done. So if it has happened, and I suspect it has, then we wouldn't have that be a condition to be addressed as part of the report.
Okay, thank you. Just for item 2, we will work with you on the color scheme, sign package, and lighting. We noted those comments. Sign package so far is currently reviewed as no issues. We'll work with the photometric to make sure we're not exceeding the light limitations of the property lines. We'll address our landscaping concerns, and we'll coordinate on that. And then for the final, item number 6, the stormwater basin, once we determine in our detailed design whether or not that basin, the regional basin, if it has capacity, well, then we'll only treat for water quality. If it doesn't have capacity, then we'll have an underground detention system that's for both water quantity and quality. So we'll detail that out in our construction drawings. So beyond that, any questions for me?
Gentlemen, do you have any questions at all? Mr. Lowe?
Not directly to you for engineering and applicant, so thank you.
Thank you, and Restaurant Holdings is excited to bring this new brand
Yes.
to the area. Thank you.
So, we'll say one of our fellow trustees is well-known for eating at fast food restaurants. And so I'm sure Mr. Becker will probably be very first in line to eat at your restaurant and give a rave review, I'm sure, so.
Are you part of the ownership group with them today, too? Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
So Taco John's, you compared it to Chipotle, right? Is it called Taco John's?
Yeah.
Okay. Just for curiosity, what all, I can imagine, but what all food are you gonna be serving there?
Bring her up.
Yeah, you can come on up, yeah, that's fine.
I've been researching to look at this. It's like, I mean, it's,
So I think isn't there 1 or 2 already in Cincinnati?
no. What I saw, there's nothing in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
No,
Well,
there's none in Ohio.
Regional, I mean, it's not even, yeah.
Well, because it's a public hearing, I do have to swear you in.
Okay.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please, and then state your name and your address, please, for the record.
Randy Chenoweth, 134 Lafayette Street, Ionia, Michigan. And, yeah, we are happy to bring it to Ohio. We just brought our first 3 to Michigan, so it's gonna be a continued process. We have, I think, 4 other developments of Taco John's in the Cincinnati area, so, that we're looking at. So they mainly serve, it is mainly tacos, burritos, chicken grilled tacos. The claim to fame is our potato olays.
Okay.
So they're kind of a spicy, I'd say like a potato. So, but yeah, they are great. I actually grew up on them, so.
Excellent.
They originated in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Excellent.
So,
Question would be, assuming we move forward, idea in a ballpark of when you plan on breaking ground?
I think our anticipated groundbreaking is March.
March?
Yeah,
In
mid-March.
2 months?
Great.
Oh,
And it's
excellent.
about a 90 to 100 day process, so, to opening.
You said 92, what did you say?
90 to 100 days.
Oh, I thought you said 9,200. That's a couple,
No.
okay.
90 to 100.
100,
90
okay.
to 100 days from start to finish.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
One deciding thing that might deter my vote, so you said you're from Michigan?
Nope.
Oh, okay, you're not.
I'm from the state of Wyoming, but I live in Michigan.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
I have lived there for 8 years.
You're not okay, I'm glad to hear that.
I'm not a Michigan fan, no.
There we go.
Or a Michigan State fan.
Too funny. I appreciate you very much, sir.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
very kind of you, absolutely.
Randy, can I get your last name, please? You spell it
Chenoweth, ChenOwETH,
C-H-E-N-E-T.
OWETH. And I am the construction manager for our company, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you very
Thank you.
much. And so, Mr. McCormick, wanted to ask you, am I making this entertainment motion exempting item 1, or no? Are we going to leave it in there?
So, I think what she's referring to is an email that was sent by staff. What she's referring to is not actually in the recommended modification
Okay.
section of the staff report.
Okay,
What
roger
we
that.
did
So
is-
we're good.
It was a little,
I'm gonna suggest that.
the other planner, Craig,
Accept it.
I put everything
Accept it.
in the report, and Craig sent some of the items separately. And I think that's what, so some of the items you're seeing from the first report
Accept it.
were sent to the applicant in the second report. It's just that the way it was done was a little different.
Perfect. So it's not on the recommended, okay, got it. Perfect. Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to entertain a motion for zoning case number 13-90-Z as in Zulu, Union Township Plan Development, Major Development, request to approve plan development, formal plan with Fishbeck Erica Randolph, she's the applicant, for property located at parcel 413104A as an alpha 209 with recommended modifications. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Gentlemen, any further discussion?
Yes. Mr. McCormick, so I guess my concern is that with that issue number one, or item number one that we've been talking about, I mean, are you confident it's going to be able to be worked out administratively, that we don't need to table this for next month or anything?
Sure,
Yeah.
Mr. Becker, I think the items, it's 1, 2, and 3 on our paperwork is correct. They're referring to something that's already been removed. So it's communication
Right.
between the applicant
It's already
and what
resolved.
she had for information coming over. It's already been resolved, taken care of.
Very good. All right, I'm good.
Mr. Wood?
Just excited to have the business. I think it's a great-looking building. Yeah, something new to Ohio altogether. I've been sitting here looking at the menu as well. I mean, it looks, and that's exciting that you're groundbreaking in the 90 to 100 days opening.
You really do have that.
Yeah, I was going to show you the potato olays.
We'll be there.
So I think, I think it says bigger and bolder, and yeah, I mean, it's, so that's exciting. It's exciting that you chose Union Township for your first, flagship store in Ohio. So, appreciate working with the staff and staff working with, being able to carve out a piece of land here in Union Township for you. And I think, it's definitely something that, that's an area that, that's where residents expect those type of resources and amenities. So it's a good spot. It's a good regional, something that's we haven't seen before. So that's always great to bring something brand new. And so I look forward to seeing it on the Becker
Look at him.
fast food review. Yeah.
You know what, Mr. Becker reminded me of another rookie mistake of myself. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this zoning case? Please go ahead. And same thing, I'll have to swear you in, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please, and then state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Gary Schneider. My address is 4175 Amelia Olive Branch Road, Batavia, Ohio. All right, so I own Jonah Development, and we are a general contractor. I travel 6 states. We did the Raising Cane's over here in Eastgate. I've got a Jiffy Lube going on right now over in Ohio Pike near the Kroger's. I'll be doing the United Dairy Farmers there across from Jiffy Lube as well. And hopefully another Taco John's on the corner where the BP is. So we travel 6 states. My wife is tired of seeing my bags packed. All right? My dogs don't recognize me when I'm gone. I like to do this job. So if you can approve it, I would appreciate that. We also own Hope's Way, which is a wedding venue on Amelia Olive Branch Road. So 21 years in the neighborhood.
That's great.
Thank you.
Great, sir.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this zoning case? Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition of this zoning case? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comments. We already have the motion on the floor. Gentlemen, any further discussion?
Yes. I want to protest this thing about fast food. All right,
I
so-
know it's more than just that.
Just so to explain this to the public, when I was running for trustee, I made a pledge that I would eat at every restaurant in Union Township. Well, I did accomplish that over the course of last year. Most of the restaurants in Union Township are fast food. So I do have some horror stories to tell. I'll keep those to myself for now. But that's where that came from, the penchant for fast food, because that's what you get in Union Township more than anything else.
And it's still fun to give you a hard time about it.
That's okay, that's okay. I prefer dishing it out, but I can take it too.
Any further discussion, gentlemen? Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Looking forward
Welcome
to
to the
it.
Thank you.
township.
Looking forward to it, absolutely. Gentlemen, next item on the business, or on the agenda is old business. Any old business, Mr. Stern? Nope, okay. Moving on, new business. Item A is an alpha, approval of minutes. Seeking a motion to approve payments as prepared by our fiscal officer, Ron Campbell.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Campbell, roll call?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item is B as in Bravo. Gentlemen, entertain a motion for approval of monthly financial report as prepared by our fiscal officer, Mr. Ron Campbell.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Campbell, roll call?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item is C as in Charlie, approval of purchase orders, and I'll hand that over to our administrator, Ms. Ayers.
Thank you, sir. I will apologize ahead of time. This is an extensive list, so you're probably going to be sick of hearing from me in a moment. But these are a few that we do annually, so it does account for the large number this month. First we have is for Bastian and Company LLC for year-end audits totaling $13,000. Medical Air Services Association Incorporated for medical airlift transportation services employee benefits for $16,000. Pitney Bowes for retail postage meter, $48,000. The Shamrock Companies for newsletter, annual report, printing, mailing costs for a year, $53,000. United States Postal Service for retail postage for use in the post office for $50,000. Verizon Wireless for $36,900 for township cell phone service 6-month period. Alta Fiber for fiber optics service 6 months, $37,800. Second for Alta Fiber for township phone services for a year for $34,800. Next matters for the Highland Group for 2023-2024 liability property casualty insurance, including a contingency for policy additions at $220,000. Next is for ESO Solutions Incorporated, an annual contract in the amount of $16,200. Next is Lexapol LLC for annual fire policy manual and daily training bulletins, $11,400. Generator Systems LLC for a maintenance agreement for $12,000. Mobilecom Incorporated for a radio maintenance agreement for $11,900. Ganley Chevrolet of Aurora LLC for two 2023 staff vehicles in the amount of $90,600. PennCare Incorporated for $197,650 for a Medix 2023 ambulance with cooperative pricing. Axon Enterprises Incorporated for a payment on the 5th-year payment on tasers, $15,888. Donald Campbell for safety vests in the amount of $10,300. Fleet Core Technologies for estimated fuel usage 2 months, $27,000. Royce Lawn Care Incorporated for township facilities fertilizing and fertilizer, $40,000 for an annual contract. Clermont County Treasurer stormwater permit, $18,000. Sedgwick Claim Management Services for workers' compensation group rating fee for $20,000. And finally, Bachman's Incorporated for $39,360 for a replacement air unit for the Civic Center gym rooftop unit.
And gentlemen, looking for entertain a motion for approval of purchase orders exceeding $10,000 as recommended by our Township Administrator, Susan Ayers.
So moved.
Second.
All right, gentlemen, any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
So there's a number of these I circled that I want to have a little discussion about. I'm just going to go from the top down. So it was the fourth one, $53,000 for the newsletter, annual report printing, the annual report, the printing of that, and the mailing costs involved with the newsletter. Ms. Ayers, would you elaborate on what we're getting for $53,000?
That is quarterly newsletter printing and mailing, so postage costs and things of that nature for 4 newsletters. There's also printing for the annual report that we do every year. This is a similar amount. We've carried it over, I believe, for the past 2 or 3 years at least. We are going to be taking some steps also in 2023 as we get our new website up to encourage the electronic delivery of these items to help reduce some postage costs when citizens are comfortable with that delivery form. We set this out this year to get it out there into the public at the $53,000 mark, but that can always be lowered in the event we can lower some of those postage and printing costs.
Okay, when do you anticipate the first newsletter is going to start hitting mailboxes?
Well, the current one is at the printer at the moment. I tried to reach in with them today to see when we could expect it to be mailed. I did not hear back prior to this meeting, so I hope to update as soon as possible, and then we're already starting on another version for Q1.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Campbell, the $220,000 for the Highland Group for our liability, property casualty insurance, so that's for 2 years, is that correct?
No, it's for 1 year.
That's for 1 year. It says for 2023, 2024 on there. It looked like it was 2 years.
That's because there's a contract for both years,
Okay, so it's 220 per year.
effectively.
And that's in line, has that gone up substantially, or is that in line with what we've been paying in the past?
That's pretty close. It's tracking pretty close to what it's been normally.
Okay. Chief Donnelly? $90,600 from Gamley Chevrolet in Aurora, Ohio for 2 2023 staffed vehicles. What is special about those staffed vehicles, and why'd you have to get them from Aurora, Ohio, wherever that is?
So on any of those larger purchases that we do, we first look at government purchasing or procurement contracts. So like state contract pricing or HGAC pricing, which is the Houston-Galveston Area Cooperative Procurement Program. So these are special vehicles. They have an SSV package, which is Special Services Package. So these vehicles are less about comfort and luxury packages that you would see at local dealerships, cars. These are built specifically for police service and fire service. So that SSV package is going to get you stuff like an extra large alternator, dual batteries, pre-wiring for lights, sirens, radios, computers, flashlights, a heavy-duty suspension. So, we look and see where they're available, what pricing is available, and then we go out and look and see, where we can get them from and who has them available. They're not going to be available at a local dealership because there is no demand for those, obviously, because they're police and fire vehicles. So that's where they come from, is whoever we can find that has those available, and it just so happens that that's where they're available, and they'll have those in stock in the near future.
Okay, and where is Aurora, Ohio?
It's northern Ohio.
Somewhere up north. Okay, that's fine. And then right below that, it looks like there's an ambulance purchase for $197,650 from Penn Care.
That's correct. That's the same make, model vehicle that we ordered last year. Emergency vehicles like that, new fire trucks, ambulances are now taking anywhere from 2 to 3 years from the time you order them to purchase those. That's another one. If you recall, last year we purchased 2 that we've not received yet that were demo units that we snatched off the line.
I remember that.
This is another one. When we snatched the last 2 demos, they put a new demo on. That's the demo they put on, so we can grab that one the same way we grabbed the ones from last year. And again, that is bought through that HGCA cooperative purchasing contract that's already been bid through a procurement process of multiple government jurisdictions going together to get better pricing than us going out and trying to buy it on our own.
Okay. So the prior 2 we approved still haven't come in yet.
That is correct. They're waiting
So
on
this is
change.
the third, so where are these which firehouses are these gonna wind up in when they come in?
I don't know. What we do is we look at the mileage, we look at the hours, and for the ambulances and the fire trucks, it's less about mileage and more about hours because they spend so much time sitting and idling. It seems they could sit for 6 or 8 hours. So if you look at the mileage, you can multiply that times usually about 5 as far as the usage goes. So we'll look at them, and what we'll do is the ones that are higher mileage, higher hours, we'll rotate those into reserve status, and we'll put these into front status. But specifically which station, I can't tell you.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you, Chief Tom. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Baker? Mr. Luke, anything?
Oh, thank you.
Okay. No further discussion, and I'll go ahead and do a roll call. Mr. Campbell?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item is D as in Delta. And gentlemen, we're entertaining a motion for one of us to be nominated as representative to serve on the OKI board. So, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion for the OKI Regional Council of Governments Board of Directors Executive Committee to nominate a representative to serve on the OKI Regional Council of Governments Board of Directors and Executive Committee, and to further designate Ms. Susan Ayers as an alternate. Is there a motion?
Move for Michael Logue to be that position.
I'll second.
Or,
I'll second.
I'll let you second. Second. Thank you.
I'll second first here.
Thank you.
Any discussion?
No, I think Mr. Logue's been attending all the meetings. He enjoys doing that and been doing a good job with it, and I'd like to see him continue.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. It's a good group to be involved with.
I agree. You like being on this group. You're good at it. You relay the information back well, and, yeah, so you've done a fine job last year, so I have no problem with it, so.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's, it's great to be able to be involved with that. And, we've got, Mark's had significant involvement with OKI. Just as we see this year, the sidewalk project and the funding that comes in through OKI. So it's just, something that, yeah, we've got to be able to keep our foot on the gas for. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item is E as in Echo, superseding appointment to Union Township Board of Zoning Appeals. Gentlemen, I entertain a motion to appoint Ben Jank to the Union Township Board of Zoning Appeals for the term ending in December 31st, 2027, and to appoint Mr. Robert McAdams to the Union Township Board of Zoning Appeals as an alternate member for the calendar year of 2023.
So moved.
Second.
And discussion?
Sir, if I may.
Please.
You will remember, just to make sure we're very clear on this, when we did the reorganization meeting, there was an appointment for Board of Zoning Appeals. When we were making those recommendations in the documents, there was a transcription error that effectively switched Mr. Jank from the permanent position to the alternate position, Mr. McAdams in the alternate position. So we're just trying to flip this around so that we get what was intended and what the board members actually applied to do. Mr. McCormick actually spoke with both of these gentlemen, let him know about the error, and they agreed that this would be the right way to handle it.
Perfect. Thanks for clarification on that. Gentlemen, do you have any discussion on that? No. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Looks like last item of the evening is F as in Foxtrot. Gentlemen, I entertain a motion for approval of resolutions. Resolution 2023-5, transfer of property to the Union Township CIC, authorizing the transfer of property to the Union Township CIC for purposes of economic development.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Ms. Ayers, would you explain a little bit where these properties are and why we're doing this?
Well, yes, I will. Actually, is with regards to the location, my next slide would be a map of where these properties are. This is actually the next phase of the Glen SD High School development that we've had some extensive conversations about over the years. Previously in May, we transferred this first parcel that is, to Union Township Apartments, and they've been doing some work in that area. This is this northern portion of it. We are currently asking the Board of Trustees to transfer the parcels that are outlined in red to the CIC. This will be a Phase 2 and Phase 3 development. So what you're doing today is transferring the ownership to the CIC so that the CIC can actually engage in the economic development activity and follow through with the purchase agreements that have already been discussed and agreed upon.
Thank you.
Mr. Luke?
Good. Thank you.
So just for clarity, this is Resolution 2023-04.
Yes, there was a numbering error on this.
Oh, okay, it
apologize
says
for
05.
that.
Okay,
Yeah, my
okay.
apologies.
Then I'm gonna reread that again. Let's do that over. So just so we, okay, perfect. Yeah, just so we're 100% clear on that. So we will start that over. Gentlemen, I'm gonna entertain a motion for Resolution 2023-04, transfer property to the Union Township CIC, authorizing the transfer of property to the Union Township CIC for the purposes of economic development.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? I'll just say that it's great keeping our word, making the schools whole, and West Clermont should be very happy with that, so, very good. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, and then comments from the board members. Mr. Becker, do you have anything?
A couple of things. So, first off, Mr. Chairman, congratulations on your first meeting as chairman. And I had to chuckle when said you made a mistake about not getting a roll call, and brought back memories of my first time that I was a chairman of a committee in Columbus. I made 3 mistakes in the first 3 minutes. So you did better than I did. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
The only other thing I guess I wanted to comment on was, well, actually, maybe a couple of things. Lady talked about the swans. So, and there's another, I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's known as a swan lady that's in here from time to time. So, I'd like to follow up with her to find out what's going on with this, and maybe even reevaluate why do we even have these swans? Should we be rethinking this? And are we properly taking care of them? Because, if there's a problem, we need to deal with it. So, Mr. Taylor, will you be looking into that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's to spearhead that. That sounds like that's in your domain, being a park issue. And other than that, I guess the other thing I'm interested in is, so Mr. Taylor, you said 2 times a month, the municipal court comes in with the garbage pickup in Union Township. I know there was a spot along I-275, I don't know how many times I drove by it thinking, I need to stop and take care of that. How long is it going to be sitting there? Maybe that's been taken care of, I don't know, I haven't seen it for a while, or just haven't noticed it. So does that municipal court, do they do along 275 typically?
I have seen them out there.
Okay.
I don't know their schedule.
Okay, what I am interested in learning is, either whether it's before the fact or after the fact, getting a hold of the schedule. I guess I would like to know, 2 times a month, where are they in Union Township?
Okay. I'll certainly reach out to them, see if I can get a schedule, tentatively if they have, I know they have certain hot button items they get. 32 is a big one, I know. They get, I know they're in Union Township. I just don't know the location specifically.
Because that area along Old 74 and Eastgate Boulevard near Rumpke Road is starting to get trashy again.
Okay.
And they did a real nice job with it. I guess that was about a year ago. So that's due. Of course, I see that every day, but I'm sure there's other areas too.
Okay.
So
I'll reach back out to them.
yeah, the fact that they're doing that twice a month, that's awesome. It's an awesome service we're getting, and I just kind of want to keep track of where are they.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Logue?
Yeah, I just want to say, gentlemen, share this, and Mr. Vice Chairman Becker, you're well aware of this, but during December, I was able to spend some time volunteering with New Life Fellowship Church. Very touching. They work with volunteers to coordinate and deliver 145 children Christmas presents, and they work with Summerside Elementary. It's very touching. You go through and you look through the list of what's items of what that they want, and it's very basic items. So anyway, I just want to highlight that. Mr. Becker's been involved with that for a long time, I've heard, and I was happy to see that and recognize that it's taking place in Union Township. So I just wanted to highlight that community and those citizens that are doing that. And Mr. Becker, very humble of yourself to not even be sharing it, but I'll do that for you. So Ms. Ayers, if we can look into that a little bit too with what they've been doing there, because again, the great partnership with our elementary with Summerside. Gentlemen, I saw more people recently, about a 25-member pickleball club meeting, met them for their Christmas party. They are very excited about the pickleball courts that are coming to Clermont Park. They're also very excited about dogs in park, so they're very excited overall. So I want to give you guys kind of a round of applause on that, and keep things moving forward with that. Upcoming winter conference, Ohio Township Association. I encourage you to be able to go or pick up a couple of the courses. I was able to attend last year the first time, and it was wonderful as far as just courses and offerings that were there, and then meeting with other trustees and other township officials, and just having that kind of professionalism. Iron sharpens iron there. But I know it is tight and hard on schedules to be able to take time away during the work week. So I think in that case, Ms. Ayers is going up this year, which I think is wonderful. I think it's wonderful to continue to just think about that, to be able to send up any staff in the future, because I definitely saw that last year. I saw staff, different department heads, service department, you name it, that are up there, police, fire, zoning. So something I think we want to carve out, at least an interest item for, something for the staff. And then that way too, they can push information back up to the board as far as, hey, what's some best practices or something that's new and cutting edge. So, agree with you, Mr. Becker, as far as questions posed about the Swans. Mr. Taylor, quick question for you. Can you recall just a rough figure, what's the initial cost on Swans, like, to put?
They've gotten, and I'm not entirely accurate on the original ones, because I know we've had some, we had some that passed away, or, actually, we can't confirm that they were killed intentionally, but we did have a couple that died. The original cost, I believe, was around $1,500, and that was for a pair, but I know that we've had some different costs since then.
Okay.
But we have, the lady that was here earlier, we have 2 at each location, 2 at Ivy Point, 2 at Veterans, and 2 at Mount Moriah.
Okay.
And so we do have them, we do feed them every day.
Yeah.
And then so during this construction process with TQL, we've partnered with them. They have an automatic feeder out there. If they're still working through some of that, they overfed them,
Okay.
I think, in the beginning, and they've kind of worked that out, but they have guaranteed us that they feed them every single day.
Okay.
So.
Okay, interesting, good perspective. I know the ramp is put in at Veterans Park for the Swans, and look, and I'm not a foul expert, and that's something, I'll leave to the experts, but I do think between the food supply and Mr. Becker, the food supply and the ramp, you give access to the water for the geese. I think that, that might be kind of feeding its own negative feedback cycle there of keeping geese population strong, because, you can't lie, it's a strong geese population. So, just something, maybe we get a foul expert, let the experts figure out best scenarios.
Don't expect me to share any of my fast food to Swans, all right?
I'll tell you, are you out there feeding them?
Did she see you?
And then just finally, congratulations, Vice Chairman, and look at you being the right-hand man there, making the quick correction on what I'd say is a wonderful, executed, flawless meeting by Chairman Dills. So, great meeting. So congratulations again. Look forward to having you as chairman this year, and you as vice chairman, and myself over here. So, appreciate it, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure and great working with you, and look forward to all the excitement for 2023, because it is just exciting. It's gonna be a great year for Union Township. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Likewise, Mr. Becker as well. I'm humbled to be sitting here, and it truly is an honor. I truly believe all three of us want to make the best, most wise decisions for our township and the people that we serve. And so I appreciate you both very much, and that's ultimately the goal. Everything that we do up here is to try to do what's best for our community. But thank you both very much, and I'll do my best not to let you guys down. I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. My New Year's was interesting because I was down in Atlanta for the Buckeye game, and what was funny is when hopefully the game-winning field goal by Ohio State was kicked. It was one of the most awful kicks you ever seen in your life. It was terrible. And what was funny though, it was no one in the entire 100,000 people that were there had any idea, because the kick was literally in the air and then came down, and it was midnight and 8, 9, 10 seconds after midnight. And I didn't realize until about 12:10, 12:15, when I got done, putting my tail between my legs, that we just lost that game, that, it's 2023, it's New Year's. And no one knew. All the Ohio State fans were just put our heads down, and all the Georgia fans were going crazy. And so it was very interesting. So it was kind of a, bad weekend. But so what are you gonna say? Yeah.
Well, 2023 can only go up from there.
That's true. That's true. But best of luck to our beloved Bengals this weekend versus the Ravens, 8 o'clock this Sunday. And I was kind of blown away at the whole coin flip situation, and it got me thinking, you know, and I'm sure Lieutenant Reese would not mind this at all. So Ms. Ayers, if you have top 2, top 3 chiefs that you're wanting to pick from, why don't you do what the NFL suggested? Just change the rules and just flip a coin, you know? It's just, look at him.
We'll add that to the format.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. But yeah, I'll finish. I was, and I meant to comment when Ms. Ferguson was up here talking about the swans. I don't want to get in trouble with any animal people, but Mr. Taylor, I don't know about the other two, but I think they would agree with me, but I'm going to speak for myself. You have my full blessing to humanely get rid of every single goose, whatever, all the geese at our parks as quickly and as fast as you possibly can. Humanely. I'm going to focus on that word so I don't get in trouble tomorrow. But I can't stand them. I wish they were gone. And I just want to see the 2 swans and that'd be it. So whatever you got to do, you have my full backing on that. I think every person hates walking on the paths, walking in the grass, and you know what they step in. And then they attack, they're aggressive. So whatever you got to do to make that happen, let's make it happen. But that is all I got for that's all I got for my comments. Upcoming events, want to remind the Park and Recreations Committee meeting tomorrow canceled. A lot of folks couldn't be there. That's okay. So we'll resume that, I believe. Are we going to do that in February?
That's
Okay.
the intent right now.
Okay, so February, typically it's the next day after the Board of Trustees meeting.
Yes.
So it would be
I
the
think it's the-
second Wednesday of the
I
month.
think it's the 15th.
The 15th, okay. So tomorrow that is canceled. Township offices are closed on both Martin Luther King Day and President's Day, so that'll be January 16th and January 20th for the holidays. The Christmas tree drop-off program is underway till the end of this month, till January 31st. Drop-off locations at 4312 Glen Estee Withamsville Road. And our next Board of Trustees meeting, which is always the second Tuesday of the month, is going to be February 14th, 2023 at 6 p.m. right here. Also, very exciting, what's that?
Said Valentine's Day.
Oh, I didn't, yeah, that is Valentine's Day. And then we also will have our very first work-in session. I'm excited for that. Work-in sessions are designed to be, you correct me if I'm wrong, a little less formal, you know, more engaging. And we plan on doing those every other month, correct?
It'll be the even months, yes.
Of the even months. I'm excited for that. That'll be great to get some interaction. That will be, I have it down as February 28th at 6 p.m. right here as well, correct?
Indeed.
Great. And that is it. And gentlemen, I will entertain a motion to enter executive session pursuant of Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22, G as in golf, as follows. Number 1, to consider the appointment of a public employee or official pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 1221.22, G as in golf 1. And item number 2 is to consider the purchase of property for public purposes if premature disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personnel, private interest, or adverse to the general public interest.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I've got one thing. So no one had a joke really about Valentine's Day and who's going to be someone's Valentine, or I mean, we're all here at 6 p.m. for Valentine's
Well,
Day?
he's going to bring you food on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, all right. I mean, maybe we do some
You like
Valentine's
tacos?
cookies or
I
something? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's it.
Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
We're into executive session at 8:18 PM.
Thank you, sir. entertain a motion to exit executive session with no action taken.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
We're out of executive session at 9:21.
Gentlemen, I entertain a motion to adjourn our Union Township trustee meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
We're adjourned at 9:21.